sent a whale to swallow Jonah, kept him from drowning. Jonah gets eaten, then he repents, and the whale regurgitates him, and he survives. So that's obviously a myth, right? Well, something like that may have just happened in real life. A 2-year-old toddler in Uganda was swallowed whole by a hippo. Then a Good Samaritan showed up and threw stones at the hippo, and the hippo vomited the toddler back up, totally unharmed. Is this a myth? Is it real? Forrest Galanti has been attacked by hippos many times. He's therefore our in-house hippo expert, and he joins us to assess. Forrest, thank you so much for coming on today. Don't know a lot of people who are familiar with, the dietary habits of hippos. You are. Does this sound real, this story?
It's a fascinating story, Tucker, and I think the thing that gives it credibility is the fact that, contrary to your Fantasia and your cartoons, hippos are incredibly aggressive, defensive animals. In fact, what you're seeing in this frame right now is hippos in a defensive posture. Now, these animals have an 1,800 psi bite force, so if they wanted to squash that child, they would have. What's more likely is this is a 1 in a million. The hippo was showing some aggression, some territorial display. The kid ended up in its mouth. The hippo panicked probably just as much as the child did and sort of spit the hippo out, sort of in coincidence with the rock throwing. It's not that this hippo wanted to kill the child, otherwise he absolutely would have.
So I think because they're fat, we assume they're nice, but hippos are nasty animals, correct?
Tucker, they're actually the deadliest land mammal in Africa. They kill around 500 people per year. And the reason being, right, they're actually not as aggressive as you might think. They're very nervous, very skittish animals. And what typically happens is if they can't sink down in the water where they feel completely safe, if they're in shallow water, or rather if they're on land, they're very nervy and skittish. And what happens is you startle one, and it just goes straight into fight or flight mode, and most of the time that's fight mode. And yeah, they're many bush guides in Africa will tell you they're their nemesis because they are very aggressive, very scary animals.
You wouldn't want to be killed by a hippo, but honestly, it's kind of a cool way to go. You have been attacked by a hippo. What was that like?
Well, I grew up in Zimbabwe in southern Africa, and my family ran safari businesses. So from a very young age, I was on the Zambezi River, which has a lot of hippos. And, I had a canoe flipped over. I've been charged by a hippo. And of all of the wildlife encounters that I've ever had doing all of the various projects that I've done, hippos always seem like the riskiest animal to be around. And look at them. I mean, they look adorable, right? You look at that shot on screen and you're like, it's cuddly. I want to feed it a watermelon. But the truth is, unless they're hand raised like this one right here, they are absolutely terrifying. They're big. They can run 20 miles an hour. They have these massive teeth. They have this incredible bite force, and they have no problem taking on any animal or human being that stand in their way.
But people do hand raise them?
Not only do some people hand raise them, Tucker, Pablo Escobar, the famous drug dealer, imported some into Colombia. And if you want to talk about hippos and you want to talk about real hippo problems, the biggest hippo problem in the world are the hippos breeding like crazy in the Rio Magdalena in Colombia, Central America. These are African animals. They shouldn't be there. You want to hear a crazy story, look into that, because they are unbelievable what's going on. And people, that's a status symbol, or it was for Pablo, right? They collect these animals, they keep these animals as a status symbol because of their big, giant stature. And even those hand-raised ones are causing some very big problems down in Colombia.
Boy, what a misleading animal. I wouldn't have thought they were randy. I wouldn't think they were breeding like rabbits, but apparently they are. Amazing. Forrest Galanti, thank you for coming on tonight. Great to see you.